I usually start with a disclaimer, but I just received a subscription, so let's start with a big thank you to Joy Rabbit for subscribing to my channel, and I wanted to welcome everyone to my stream, starting with a disclaimer. And fingers crossed everyone can hear me. So disclaimer is we are not doing anything suspicious here. We're just talking educational stuff, sharing knowledge, and hopefully someone will get inspired by my guests and will want to start in cybersecurity. Join us here. And why am I here as well? Uh, I Uh, yeah, I just wanted to do two things at the same time. So share a message on LinkedIn that I've started live right now and like talking about myself. So let's do one thing at a time. I'm a pen tester. I'm certified with cover access. Like as a cover access specialist, I'm passionate about social engineering. So I also have certification in elicitation, and all my I was speaker on a lot of conferences this year. So all of my presentations were about social engineering, weaponization of that, elicitation, like mind games. It's kind of like I'm more interested in dark psychology, extracting information from people than like sending phishing emails. But maybe that's a bit unusual for a pen tester, I guess. Uh, but why am I here? To be better at public speaking, to highlight my guests, to give them a stage to talk about themselves and introduce themselves to the world if they haven't had the chance to do that already. And yeah, to share knowledge and all of that. And I wanted to introduce you to William Winterfielder. He's a Red Hat employee and a specialist. So, yeah, welcome, William. I'm really like honored to welcome you on my stream. And could you maybe introduce yourself to everyone and say a few words from yourself?
Hi, everybody, and thank you. Thank you very much for having me on your stream today. Um, so yes, I'm a Red Hat employee, but I live in Maryland in the United States on in an idyllic little sailing town in the Chesapeake Bay, right across the bay from Baltimore. And I've been working with Unix and Linux systems for longer than I'd like to say. I started learning Unix when I was 8 years old in 1982, although I didn't know it at the time. So, a little side note here, and then I'll continue talking about me. When I was growing up, we had a neighbor who had gone to high school with my mother, and she trusted me hanging around with him, and her trust was well placed. And to this day, I don't know what he did for a living, but in his basement in his house, he had a full Unix AT&T System 3 mini computer with the reel-to-reel tapes, the green monochrome monitors,
Whoa.
the acoustic modem. It looked like absolute total mad science wizardry in his basement. And he started showing me how to use it. And I'm like, I had no idea what I was doing. And he even showed me this little game. You were like a little guy in a maze, a green maze, top down, and you were being chased by rats. And if the rats caught you, they beat you up and took a piece of your cheese. It was like a little cartoon cloud of like being beat up like a cartoon, and they took a piece of your cheese. And you used the VI commands to get around in the maze. For the longest time, I thought that game was training you how to use the VI editor. And about a year ago, one of my Red Hat colleagues said, no, it's the other way around. The VI editor got its commands from that game. And for the life of me, I have no idea what the name of that game was, but boy, did it set me on the path of where I am today. So, anyway, yes, here I am, Unix, Linux, hacking away, beating my head against kernels and performance tuning and CPU frequencies and all that wonderful stuff. And as I said, I live in Maryland. I'm married to Cora, who she's on the stream, watching the stream right now, is Joy Rabbit. Hello, Joy Rabbit. And together, she and I run a domestic rabbit rescue, Eastern Shore Rabbit Rescue and Education Center in Rock Hall, Maryland. So, if you ever wanted to know anything really deep in the weeds about beating your stick against Linux or needed to have advice on how to take care of a rabbit, I'm your guy. So, that's pretty much me in a nutshell.
I will be like a. I will come out a bit on air here. So one of my favorite bands is the Birthday Massacre, and it's like very black, purple, and rabbits. So like this whole team really speaks to me right now.
Oh, they're a great band. In fact, Cora and I saw them live earlier this year. It was a great show.
Yeah, they're like really good. Okay, so but back to the point. I have thank you for introducing yourself. That was a fascinating story. I felt almost like watching like a movie from the 80s, like war games or something. So
Yeah.
like in my imagination, that was like I saw it. So thank you. That was pretty cool. And so my next question is, how you already said that, but maybe there's like more to that story. How did you become interested with Linux, and what was the thing that made you realize this is it? I love this.
Okay. Well, as I said, I started learning Unix when I was 8, but I also played with other computer systems growing up, Commodore 64, the first IBMs. I somehow never came across an Apple. I never, um, so I never used any like the Apple II or anything like that because I just never actually saw one. But it was Commodore 64, IBM, and I just kept tinkering with computers growing up, and and yet, of all things, I here's an aside for you. I went to college for music composition, so I could compose a symphony for you if you want me to. Not
Wow.
that you necessarily need it, but if you ever need a soundtrack, why, in hindsight, why I did this, I'm not entirely sure. I probably could achieve the same results just by taking music composition lessons. Um, so I did not go to college for computer science. In fact, I really never took an official computer course until probably my late 20s or early 30s before I ever actually took any kind of official computer training. It was all learning by doing before then. Um, but when I was at college, they had BSD servers. It was Windows, workstations in their computer lab, but the servers were BSD, like the original Berkeley BSD 4.3. And then when I left college, I thought, well, what do I do now? And I first started with a basic help desk job. But then when folks found out, hey, he knows a little something about Unix, I got into a junior Solaris administration. And then for basically half the 90s and half the 2000s, I was a Solaris Unix administrator. And so I still have kind of a soft spot for Solaris. But in 1999, I was introduced to Slackware Linux.
Ooh.
And I was just, oh, what is this? And spent, days and nights getting X11 to work right and getting sound to work right and finally get it set up. And then, oh, I got to do that again. And I'd blow it all away and do it all again. And I just loved it. But I didn't actually start using Linux at work until the mid 2000s. Red Hat Enterprise Linux 4 was the first work Linux I ever used. Um, and then for a while, I was a Solaris and RHEL combined administrator, but eventually Solaris went by the side for me, and I started being pure Red Hat Enterprise. And also, I've administered OpenBSD and FreeBSD as well. And it's just been that way since. And then in 2017, Red Hat, they called me and said, would you like to come work for us? And I said, yes, please. And I interviewed with them, and a good time was had by all, and here I am. So I haven't run Screaming yet. They seem to like having me around. I've been with Red Hat for over 8 years now, and I love working for them, and I hope to keep doing so. Here's another aside for you. When I interviewed, they made me take an online exam that was very much like the Red Hat system administrator exam, except you got to do it online at home, and it was all over, a VPN. And they said in big letters, if you make your system inaccessible or unbootable, you immediately fail. So I went through all the steps of the exam. I'm just doing great. I'm on fire. I get to almost the last step, and it said create an Ethernet bond. And I said, no problem. I created an Ethernet bond, restarted Network Manager, poof, booted out, couldn't get back in. And I'm just, no, 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 no,
Oh
no.
my,
Like you could see if you're thinking of a movie, imagine the camera panning out to the house outside, and you just hear no from
no.
outside the house. And I called the recruiter and told her what happened, and she said no. And this was Memorial Day weekend 2017. And she said, well, we can't do anything about it until Tuesday, so just enjoy the rest of your weekend. And I'm just,
Terrified.
so Tuesday
You're
goes by, I hear nothing. Wednesday go by, I hear nothing. Thursday, Red Hat made me an offer. And I said, well, wait, hold on. I mean, yes, please, but I thought I immediately failed. And they told me that they logged into my session and reviewed my session, all my commands, like my whole command history, everything. And they said, you did everything right to the book, by the book. You were smooth, you were efficient, and we can't figure out why your Ethernet bond booted you out because you did it correctly. And so there seems to be some kind of bug in our test environment. And we decided we can't just fail this guy for this like total act of God problem. So hey, you're in. And so I thought, oh, yay. And
Yay.
again, here I am, 8 years. And maybe I'm naive, maybe I don't know, but it is my intention to stay with Red Hat for the rest of my career. But we'll see what happens. But I am a very happy Red Hatter.
So I really love how you have a talent for that, a gift to tell a story, a compelling story, because I was like, there's suspense, there's like, like I was scared and I was like, why? And like all of those emotions in one story. So it's like, yeah, that was very good. Thank you. And to get back to my question list, you already introduced yourself, but I sometimes also ask, like from the personal side, who is William and what makes you happy? If you can share that.
What makes me happy? Well, I mean, of course, here I have the gift of gab and storytelling on the show here, but I'm typically a fairly quiet sort. I wouldn't say I'm shy, but I'm not terribly talkative. And I enjoy a good book, a nice finger of bourbon to sip with it while reading. Um, Nighttime. It's funny, I don't like going to the beach, but I love being near the water and docks and boats and piers and stuff. And so the town we live in is great because it's right on the Chesapeake Bay, and it's got a year-round marine industry, boat building, boat repair, professional oystermen, professional watermen. I mean, it never stops. And it's just kind of neat to just walk around all the boat yards and the walk around the docks, and I don't know, it's just kind of nice and keeps the head clear. Um, Cora and I, we love just sitting. We don't have a fireplace, but we go to places that have them and sit and enjoy each other's company and read our books and listen to music and play with rabbits and of course I never stop tinkering around with computers even outside of work. And I talked about how I went to school for music composition. I still dabble in that. I've done a lot of wedding songs, like for people's. I will, instead of "Here Comes the Bride," I will compose a special song to be played for like when the bride comes down the aisle. And I've done that
Ooh.
6 or 7 times now, including for my own wedding to Cora. Um, and so I try to tinker with it. And one thing I'm getting into now, in fact, I've submitted a talk to an event on taking RHEL 10, Red Hat Enterprise Linux 10, and tuning it to be a digital audio workstation, which takes a bit of
Ooh,
work because RHEL 10 is not made to be an audio station. It's made to get real serious work done, you know. But with the right tuning and get your CPU frequencies right, install a real-time kernel. There's all these steps you have to take, but once you're done, it makes a great music production platform. Actually,
that's amazing. Thank you for sharing. And I do like a lot of things that you like already. So I think if we ever meet in person, we could be friends. Even who knows? And I don't know, read a book near oh yeah, a lake or something. Okay, so I'm going to ask more Linux based questions right now.
sure.
So, as someone who works with Red Hat Enterprise Linux, so is that okay if I say RHEL?
Yes.
What are some common misconceptions about Linux security that you like to address?
Okay. So there's a talk I've given a number of times at different events titled "We Don't Like That Part, so we turned it off." And it's based on a bunch of tools that come baked in with RHEL. So they're free. They're absolutely free. There's no subscription required for them. They're just there for you to use. One of them is SE Linux, Security Enhanced Linux. And a lot of people will tell you on blogs and tutorials and such, turn SE Linux off or disable it. And I'm just, no, don't turn off or disable SE Linux, please. It just works. But I will say it was first introduced in RHEL 4, and then it stayed in RHEL 5 and beyond. But in RHEL and 4 and 5, it did have a kind of a shaky start. It's like it was kind of duct tape onto the side of RHEL, but starting with RHEL 6, it was really baked in from the ground up. And so by now, SC Linux just works. You don't really have to do anything with it. But because of that history, that rocky start, people still remember that. And it's kind of a hurdle we have to get over. But on the flip side, there's another security tool that was introduced in RHEL 8, I believe, FA Policy D, File Access Policy D. You can configure it to trust software, like is this software trusted by my system? And you can configure it, is this user trusted to run this software? So the problem with FA Policy D is, on the one hand, it just works. It's always just worked right out of the box, right from RHEL 8. We didn't really tell people we introduced it. And so when people ran into it, they had no idea FA Policy D even existed. And they're just, why is my stuff not working? And you'd have to ask them right away, have you checked FA Policy D? And they look at you blankly, just, I don't know what that is. um, Now, FA Policy D is not enabled right out of the box. But if you apply a security policy or a STIG to your system when you're installing it, odds are FA policy will be turned on, just quietly turned on in the background, and you don't know. And thankfully, now by RHEL 9 and RHEL 10, folks have become way more familiar with it and know it's there. And they realized it just works. It kind of catches you by surprise if you don't know it's there, you know? So those are two tools that RHEL provided that caused some heartache, but for vastly different reasons. And we also have IP tables and now Firewall D, and people will tell you to turn that off too because they'll say they think it's unnecessary overhead, or you don't need a firewall on an internal system, or whatever. Um, Firewall D is also one of those things. It just works. I mean, it'll be running by default, and you just tell it, hey, I need to open this port, I need to add this service, and it just works for you. So there really is no good reason to turn it off. Anyway, I've been babbling totally far on this one question. So, I could go on and on and on for hours on these
Yeah,
on this
I
particular subject.
it's okay. I like that. It's like that's the point of the podcast. So we talk a lot. But I think you already answered the question that I'm about to ask. But maybe if you want to add anything to it, so can you elaborate on the we don't like that part, so we turned it off talk? Which specific tools or features have been most overlooked or underutilized by users?
Well, SE Linux and FA Policy D, which I already talked about.
Yeah, yeah.
Then we have a product, an application called AID, Advanced Intrusion Detection Environment. You use AID to do what's called tripwire a system. You have it monitor files on your system, and if those files are changed in any way, AID notifies you. So say you have a DNS server running. The configuration file for named on rel is etcnamed.conf. You write the file, you configure it just right, and then you have AID take a checksum of that file. And so if anybody logs into the system and changes that file in any way, changes the permissions, changes the ownership, adds a single character to the file, AID flags it, hey, somebody just changed that, and warns you and lets you know. AID does not fix anything. All it does is alert you. But if you're paying attention and you set AID to fire off, say twice a day, you can schedule it. Like, how often do you want it to check? It's a good way to know that, hey, there's something funny going on with my system right now, and you can check it. Now, AID is not turned on by default. You have to explicitly turn it on, and then you have to spend time tuning it just right. Like, check only these files or only those files. Make sure you don't want to monitor too much, because trying to monitor stuff in like temp or var, that's just going to drive you nuts because things change constantly in those directories. But have it check everything in bin or Etsy. That's good stuff. And so it can really let you know if anything's touched your system. We have one other thing, FIPS mode. FIPS mode is either on or off. You don't really configure it. Um, it's a set of cryptographic algorithms that it applies. And if you have the right hardware, FIPS will alert you if your hardware has been tampered with, which is kind of cool. But you have to have hardware that supports it. The problem with FIPS is you need to decide whether you want it on or off before you install anything. You've got bare metal box, no operating system on it at all. You have to decide right then and there, do I want FIPS running or not? You don't really want to turn it on after a system's already running. It could cause you problems, and even if it works, you're still not 100% FIPS compliant because it's not installed from boot time, install time. Anyway, but yeah, that's just you have to decide, do I want it running or do I not want it running? And some places won't have to care. A government, most government systems mandate it. So there you go. Anyway, those are some tools that cause people rending of garments, gnashing of teeth, pulling of hair. But once you get them all set up just right, no one can promise a perfectly secure system. It's impossible. But if you get all these little tools like SE Linux, FA Policy D, FIPS, AID, Firewall all set up and configured just right for your specific needs, you can feel reasonably confident that you've done your best to secure the system. I mean, you have to remain vigilant. You have to watch the logs. You have to pay attention to AID's alerts. And you always have to worry about a system administrator who decides to turn evil on you on the inside. That's always hard to defend against. But still, you can at least feel like I've done a pretty good job securing this system, a good baseline to work from.
I thank you for answering. That's actually, yeah, like you have to configure your distro so it like manages your expectations to, yeah, fulfill your needs. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So my next question is a bit from a different barrel. So I wanted to ask you about uh, defending. So actually, yeah, I'm trying to ask three questions at the same time, so that's maybe not the
Sure.
uh, easiest thing to go about. But so you can pick whatever you want to answer from those. But how do you think the community can better support defenders in their efforts to secure Linux systems? And is defending more interesting and challenging than attacking? And can you explain why do you think this is the case? Like, what is the answer and why do you think so? And do you think there's a gap in skills between blue teams and red teams in terms on Linux security expertise? If so, how can you bridge that gap? Like, it's like a lot, but maybe you can.
Okay. I will do my best. All right. So indeed, it has always been my personal opinion that blue team defending is harder than red team attacking, way harder. Um, red team has a certain coolness factor to it. I feel like everybody wants to be on red team because you're the attackers. You're sneaking in, you're pulling off the heist, you're pulling off the score. I mean, even if you're doing it legally, you're a licensed hired pen tester. You still feel like I'm going to get their golden goose and put it on their table and say, "Aha, gotcha." And defenders, blue team, they have to win every time. They're attacked. Their systems are attacked constantly, perhaps even as much as a million times per second from all over the world. And you have to win against every one of these attacks. Red team only has to win once. They only have to succeed once. They get your golden egg, and you're done. And then you have to figure out, well, what went wrong and how do we do better? So I talked about how I felt like red team, the attackers have a certain coolness factor. I feel like red teaming gets a lot more training pushed at it. There's more courses for it. There's more people who want to do it, and it's kind of exponentially builds on itself. I'm a want to be a red team. I want to get more information, so more information is available, and you've got these various websites like oh gosh, you're on one of these websites, the hacker training, the red team training, try
uh,
hack me
Hack the box.
and hack the box, yes. um, and they're all training you on how to be a good attacker. And you don't see so much attention paid or money paid towards training against defending. And defending is hard and it's kind of thankless, but I also think defending is more interesting and actually a little bit more exciting because you have to win every time and you have to stay constantly on your toes. Um, I do think I do think that there's a lot of room available for people to focus more on defense training and make defending a little more compelling. I wanted to say sexy, but that just doesn't sound right. Make blue teaming more compelling to, convince people that, I mean, you want to challenge yourself, that's where it's at. Um, and of course, one could argue to be a good defender, you should be a good attacker too.
And vice
Else,
versa.
and vice versa. Um, I am pretty much blue team through and through. I'm not an attacker. I mean, I know some about how you do the attacks, but I'm not a pen tester. Um, but I do read up on it and pay attention to like what's this week, what is the latest thing people can pull my pants down with? And so it requires lots of reading, lots of vigilance, paying attention to the latest news about what's going on. Um, I say some training in red teaming is good to learn for defenders, but if you focus too much on attacking, you actually start forgetting about the defending part, and it's just come back, come back, come back, come back. Um, I'm trying to think of a better way to describe it. I don't know if I'm doing a good enough job here.
Yeah,
Um,
I do. I do get it. So I think yes.
One thing about defending is here. So people always talk about you want to detection, prevention, recovery, right? So you can't defend against things you haven't detected. Um, and I feel like one place where a lot of organizations fall on their face is either they're great at protecting what they're aware of. They're not so good at detecting, and they're terrible at recovery. They haven't put any attention on recovery. Like, okay, the attacker won. What do we do now? A lot of organizations will have this attitude of the attacker's not going to get through this. We've got walls in place. We've got archers. We've got boiling oil. We've got cavalry ready to stomp them into the mud. They're not getting past this. And then somebody sneaks in through the side door and takes that golden goose, and you're just, how do we get that golden goose back? And so recovery is kind of a weak point in a lot of places I've been, especially if we go beyond mere security, like cybersecurity. If we go into the physical world, what is your plan to recover from if half your executive team dies in a fire? Like catastrophic loss of personnel. What do you do? Um, or the one or two people who knew that password suddenly you've lost them for some reason, and now no one can actually access a specific system. What do you do? How do you get past that? And so these are things folks don't necessarily think all the way through until it happens, and then they spend a lot of money dealing with it after it's already happened. And then actually, great, they're in a better place now, so if it happens again, they know exactly what to do. But man, what a hard price to pay to get there. And so I think one way companies can learn from each other is learn from each other's recoveries. What did we do? Well, what was our after incident reports? What did we have to do? And you know, educate on that sort of thing. On how did we recover?
And also like have a action plan for when like an attack happens. So who should be like, what do we do? So there's like no panic, but like a person that just gives you direction, and you already have the script for when that happens, so you just act. And because there's like no time to waste, then no time to like, I don't know, call someone and I don't know, have an emergency meeting. You just have to know straight away what how to move to secure the systems. And yeah, maybe then the ransomware would not like attack would not be totally successful if you move fast and like have a plan, like in my opinion.
One thing you also need to watch out for is I talked about that product aid that tripwires your system and notifies you if something changed in your system. Someone hopefully is actually paying attention to those notifications, right?
Yeah,
Or if you've got all these logs, maybe you have a dedicated log server to analyze what's going on. If no one actually looks at those logs ever, then uh,
what's the point?
again, you can't defend against what you don't know about. So put a lot more effort in detection, maintain the effort we have in prevention. I think most folks do a decent job focusing on that. Put more effort in detection and a lot more effort into recovery. The bad
Exactly.
guys are going to win eventually. It's guaranteed. So prepare for it.
Yeah, they will find a way.
They will find a way, or Mother Nature will.
Or like that's like a kind of like a rhyme, but they will find a way, or a 0 day.
Oh, that's right.
Okay, so my next question, how does your experience with Shell influence your approach to defending against Linux-based system? It's like a bit related to what we are just talked about, but maybe there's like something new you can share.
Since I've mentioned that I used to be a Solaris administrator, and I've also administered the original Berkeley BSD. I've administered FreeBSD, OpenBSD, and very briefly AIX, IBM AIX, although that was a weird IBM's AIX is like they heard about Unix and decided to remake it their own way. So I'll just tiptoe away from that one. Um, since I've gone so much all in on RHEL over the past decade, I've gotten so familiar with the tools provided by RHEL that sometimes I'll get on another Linux and the tool isn't there. And I'm just, ooh, that's right. For example, SC Linux might not even be installed on. I'm trying to think of a good other distro to mention. I don't think. You know what? I'm sure that if I think of it, there'll be some distro, Linux distro, that you can install SE Linux if you want, but it's not there by default. And I'm just, oh, they don't have that. But then Ubuntu systems or Debian systems, they'll have app armor, which does defends in a different way. I don't know app armor very well, so I won't talk about it. But that's another layer of defense that the Debian based systems use that you won't find that on RHEL. App armor isn't there on RHEL. Um, Actually, in fact, RHEL is all about the system D ecosystem. You get on a free BSD system and you're back to init. There is no system D. You're back on init scripts and art run levels and all that wonderful stuff. Um, so I'd say, to get back to your question, I'm so steeped in RHEL now that when I get onto another Linux variant or a BSD, I might get startled by what's not there now, what I don't have available to me, and I better learn quickly what I do have available to me. And I try to focus on, instead of purchasing things or buying things, what does the operating system provide to me right out of the box? What's already there for me to work with, and let's work with that first before we start attaching third-party things onto a system.
I just had a comment in the chat, so I will read it out loud. Reminds
Sure.
me of most of tutorials out there that you check to install tools at a new Linux user, or something is not working in your system, and most of them are gonna tell you to disable SE Linux.
Yes, yes. It makes rabbits cry when that happens.
Yeah, yeah, like a tiny kitten dies somewhere.
Oh, that's right.
Okay. Well, I wanted to ask. I have a question you already answered, but I will read like both of them. The one that you already answered, kind of, and the new one. So SC Linux FA policy D firewall ID. Which one you think is most undervalued and underutilized or misunderstood by users? But you kind of already answered that one. And what are some common security mistakes that you see Linux administrators making when hardening systems?
Okay. Actually, I will add on what do I think is I've talked about that misunderstood, but the one I think is the most underutilized is FA policy D. Because I mean SC Linux now by RHEL 8, 9, and 10, it pretty much just works out of the box, and most administrators don't have to do anything with it. They can just forget about it. They don't even have to notice anymore unless they have a need to, like they're installing something that they need to take SC Linux to account. FA policy, since it's really only applied to a system if you apply a security policy, um, out of the box, it's not doing that much. If you install software through Red Hat, it automatically trusts it. Automatically trusts the software, and out of the box, it allows all users to do anything. So you have to think about how do I want to configure, what do I want users to be allowed to do, and what software do I trust. Um, where people were getting caught with their pants down with FAPolicy is a lot of folks would install software outside of Red Hat. Like they would download software from other locations FA Policy D does not automatically trust that. And so they'd run something they got from a third party, and FA Policy D would block it and say, no, I'm not running that. And they'd be, I don't understand why that's not running. And again, back to they didn't even know FA Policy D existed. Um, but yeah, if you install software through Red Hat's repositories, it will all just work. You don't have to do anything. But I do think FA Policy D is very underutilized because if you can configure what software you trust and what users you trust to allow to run what software, you can really lock down what is and is not allowed to run in your system. And if you had another question, I'm afraid I've forgotten it already. So
Yeah, I know. I ask too much questions at the same time. I would have the same problem. Like it's okay. So I will repeat it. What are some common security mistakes that you see Linux administrators making when hardening systems?
okay, mistake number one, and this is beyond just Linux. This is security in general. They don't know what they're defending against. They haven't thought about, well, what do we want? What are we trying to protect ourselves from? And what are we trying to protect? Let's take the firewall D into account. That's you allow firewall D allows you to permit or deny access to your system over various ports. And maybe you're running a web server on the said system that you'll want to allow anybody in the universe to reach, or maybe you only want the people in your subnet to reach. Have you thought about that? Like, who do you want to be permitted to reach this service? And again, that's not just Linux, that's security in general. Who you have to sit down and think about what am I providing? Who am I providing it to? And who do I not want to get to the same thing? And if you don't decide that, then you don't know what to lock down and you don't know what to permit.
Yeah, exactly.
As for a specific Linux mistake, is so there's another talk I've prepared but have not presented yet, and it's called "We Turned It On," and it's a follow up to "We Don't Like That Part, so we turned it off." And it's
Mhm.
administrators who go from no security at all to deciding we're going to go all in on security. We're doing all the security, turn it all on, and that's bad. That's actually really bad if you don't know if you have not been running security tools and you decide to turn them all on, you're probably going to break your system if you haven't sat and thought about what exactly you're doing to the system. I talked about FIPS mode. It's off, typically off by default, unless you've already applied a security policy. And if you've already applied a security policy, then what I'm saying doesn't matter to you because you know what you're doing. You have a running system, you decide, I'm going to turn FIPS mode on, and you do, and suddenly you can't SSH into it. Why not? Because the encryptographic algorithm has changed. And you might be running an SSH client that does not have the permitted algorithms. And or here's a RHEL example. You have a system running Identity Manager. It's like a directory service Red Hat provides. If FIPS mode was not running on the system when you installed IDM, and then you decide to turn FIPS mode on, not only will it break IDM, if you turn it back off, IDM will stay broken. And
Oh,
your only recourse is to restore from backups, basically, or build a new IDM server. Um, so, yeah, too long didn't read, not thinking about the ramifications of the security you're about to apply. That would be a real big mistake Linux administrators can make.
yeah. So you have to know what are your plan, like what is like the purpose, what do you want to achieve with uh, your actions, and have a good plan and actually know what you're doing, and not like only turn everything on because
Yes.
yeah, it might blow. Okay, that's a very good example and like explanation. Thank you for sharing that with us. And wanted to just say out loud, like if anyone has any questions to William, feel free to write it in the chat. I will ask him in here. So, but like to get back to my questions,
Sure.
I'm about like almost done with the Linux questions, but I will still have a lot of time. So I wanted to ask about the rabbit rescue you mentioned before. So your rabbit rescue sounds like a fascinating side project. How did you get started with rescuing rabbits, and what do you enjoy about it?
Okay. So when I was growing up, my mom had a pet rabbit, and then I had a pet rabbit in college. Um, I am horrifically allergic to cats. It's terrible. Like I can't go to a house with cats in it unless I pop Benadryl before I go there. And I couldn't really live in a house with cats in it. It's a shame too because I like cats well enough, but I can't. I get red and not runny nose and coughing and eyes. Oh, terrible.
Can I say something? Because
Yes,
I'm like that too. When I went to my friend's house, she had a cat, but I have a double like double allergy. So it's mites like dust and cats. So she had a very dusty room with cats. So I started crying. My face was red and like it was terrible. I had to leave the house because I was like suffocating, and so I'm allergic to cats as well. But what do you know? I have two cats at home, but they are both like not like European short hair, like not on the streets cats, but they are, one is British short hair and the other one is Maine. So their hair is a bit different in structure. So I don't feel like as allergic as I was like with that, like I'm dying there, red face. But just wanted to say that like, oh, I'm allergic too, but oh, what do you know? I
right.
have two cats. But back to you.
Um, and I've always thought that dogs just seem too much like work. Although again, I like dogs just fine. But walking them, and I just and then so I met Cora, and Cora and I got married, and eventually moved into a house in where we live now, Rock Hall, Maryland, and we could finally have pets. And she said we should get a pet, and I said, how about a rabbit? And Cora had never had a rabbit or dealt with them. Little did I know that Cora had harboring within her rabbit lady, and she just needed the key to turn the lock. And then we had one rabbit, we got two, we got three, then we had four. We had all these pet rabbits, and we like to get them friends too. So we'll pair rabbits off of what are called bonded pairs, so the rabbits have friends they can hang around with. And then back in 2015, and all of the rabbits we got were all from a rabbit rescue. Well, not ours, but we got them from a rabbit rescue, Bunny Magic in Maryland. And in 2015, I was renting a small office because I don't like working from home. I like to physically leave the house and put my work hat on. And so I was renting an office in town, and there was another building next door to it available, larger, not huge, but larger. And Cora thought this would be great for a little rabbit rescue or animal rescue. And then she came into a modest inheritance. We're not talking life changing money, not anything like that, but a little chunk of change. And she decided, and I said, let's do it. Let's start a rabbit rescue. And thus, in 2015, Eastern Shore Rabbit Rescue was born. And
Yay.
and this past June, we celebrated our 500th adoption, and we've had many rabbits come in and out through our doors. We get them spayed and neutered. We get them the one vaccine they have to get against the RHV virus, red hat hemorrhage, red hat, sorry, rabbit hemorrhagic virus, the only vaccine a rabbit needs to get. And
Uh,
we get them healthy and ready to be adopted back out. Some of these rabbits, we capture them. People just dump them in the woods. That's sad face. They dump the rabbits in the woods and we capture them, or they're surrendered to humane societies and we go and collect them. We get involved in hoarding situations. We'll team up with other rabbit rescues. say somebody will have like 40 rabbits that have in there taking over their backyard, and these are all pet rabbits, domestic rabbits. We don't do wildlife rescue. Um, to do wildlife rescue, you have to get a special license and have to have a special facility, which we're
Mm.
not opposed to doing at some point, maybe, but it would require a bit of work. So we just stick to domestic pet rabbits. And I always kind of joke that the rabbit rescue is my real job, and Red Hat is a hobby that happens to pay very well. Any time not spent working for Red Hat is spent taking care of rabbits. And I'd say at this point, I'd probably have the equivalent skills of a veterinary technician, but only with
Oh,
rabbits. Like not with any other animal, just totally with rabbits. But um, I can really do a lot of, you give me a poor, ailing, sick, abandoned rabbit, and I can get them fixed up pretty good on my own. But if I can get a rabbit specialist vet involved, of course, that's always better. So yeah, good times all around.
uh, that's really sweet, and yeah, I really love that. I'm trying to turn the filter off right now. So I just wanted to mention, like, I have that animal rescue thing about me as well. I never shared it with like only with my friends, but when I was a teenager, I rescued a crow, and yeah, she was my best friend. Kind of, it's like weird because to say maybe, but she was my best friend, and I was kind of like an outsider uh, at school. So yeah, that was like she was like kind of miss her now. But now I have cats, so that's like it's impossible to have birds and cats in the same house. You have to choose, but yeah, that was like yeah, a nice. I mean, like a nice memory for me to like see that this bird is like very intelligent and almost I feel like she understands me and she's almost like as intelligent as me. So so that was like an amazing to have like a bond like that with a animal, I think. And same as you with rabbits, so that really like resonates with me, which you just shared. And I wanted to ask a question. I think I removed it from my list, but I had a question before. How would you compare your rabbit rescue to your REL experience? I don't remember exactly the question, but maybe you have some analogies that you could use the animal rescue with your Linux experience.
Okay, well, when I'm working with the rabbit rescue, of course, there's the actual taking care of the rabbits, and they all have just different personalities, just like humans. They're
Yeah.
just like humans. They have different personalities, and so I go around to their different cages and pens, and okay, um, Dolly can be a little aggressive. She's friendly, but can be a little aggressive. And then Monty is a total lazy fluff ball. He'll just sit there and let you work around him. And um, Gail and Paulette are skittish and nervous and hide from you, even though they know you're friendly. And so I have to think about how to interact with these rabbits. And then there's interacting with the people in Rabbit Rescue. First, other rescuers, which can be quite an interesting cast of characters, and then interacting with the people who are surrendering the rabbits or have abandoned the rabbits. Um, it's always sad when someone is surrendering a rabbit to us who clearly doesn't want to, and but they have no choice, and you can tell they love this rabbit and don't want to give him up. But then we've had folks who just they let the rabbit loose and like, yeah, they're doing fine out in the wild, and like they no longer care, and that kind of makes me want to stare flatly at them. Um, so having to interact with the rabbit and interact with all these different people in the line of rescue, I really have to put a different interaction hat on for these folks. But then we go to Red Hat, we go to REL, we go to Red Hat Consulting. So I get sent to clients all over the United States by Red Hat to build or fix their stuff. And I can't be just the typical idea of your nerdy Red Hat Linux guy who sits in the corner just hacking away. I have got to talk to people. I have to communicate. I have to make sure everybody knows what the plan is. I have to make sure everybody's kept up to date about what's going on. I have to explain to people what I'm doing. So I can't hide in my shell. I've got to talk to people. I might have to go to the big boss man at a client, the CEO himself, and tell him what I'm doing. And I can't allow myself to be nervous. And I just have to think it's just like dealing with bigger rabbits. They all have different personalities, and I have to remember this person, the client, is skittish and might hide, and this person, the client, is friendly but kind of aggressive, and this person is a lazy person. He'll just sit there while I work around them, just
Yeah.
like just like the bunnies. Um, but I'd say the fact that in my line of work, my duties for Red Hat, since I have to talk to everybody who's involved and have to think about what are their needs, what are they looking for, not just what do they want to hear, but what do they need to hear. I have to make sure I'm tailoring what I'm saying, and I'd say dealing with different rabbits has actually helped with that because I have to tailor my behavior depending on who I'm working with. Um, and don't get me wrong, when I say tailor my behavior, I'm never going to lie to somebody. I'm not like, trying to cover anything up. It's just this person is better, I might have to explain things differently so they get it to this person. So if I'm talking to a fellow geek like you and I can probably just talk in pure ones and zeros, make that, old school modem sound while we're talking. Um,
I see myself doing that.
yes. Um, if I'm talking to the CEO, and they may very well be pretty tech savvy, but they have a whole different layer of things they have to worry about. It's not their place to know the complete in the weeds of their systems. They have people that care about the weeds. A CEO, they need to think about the big strategy of everything that's going on, and so I got to tell them how what we're doing is playing into their big strategy and not bog them down with details they may not care to know, even if they'll understand it. It's not the place, not the time. If they want to know more, they'll ask.
Yeah, but like I kind of see you as a person that is very good at reading people, and you like come into a room and already know how to like adjust your behavior in a way to like so the people that are in the room already will understand you best. So it's kind of like I'm an empathetic person, perhaps. I do feel like I have that as well a bit, but I'm still learning to be a good communicator. So it's like a work in progress for me a bit. But I do, and I'm like as a person, I'm a bit not very talkative, but like listening and watching everyone and then making my own judgments on them. So kind of like not like judging me, but like trying to understand that person to be like a better communicator to them later and like understand where like trying to step into their shoes and understanding where they're coming from kind of. So yeah, that's like what I heard from that story, that you're like a very good at reading and understanding people. And I think maybe that is like a useful skill also to be like a social engineering specialist, yeah, in a way.
I if I put my mind to it, I bet I could be a devastating social engineer, but I can't do it. I just I would probably break after a while and be like, I can't believe they're buying this. Um, I
Yeah.
just while I bet I'd have the skill to do it, I don't have the correct mindset to do it. Um, there's something I want to repeat that I hope I've explained well.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I'm very careful about is I don't want to dumb things down or come across like I'm talking down to somebody.
Mm-hmm.
I want to tell them, exactly what they need to hear. If they want to know more, I'll tell them more. I'll dig is like I talked about the CEO, right? He or she may or may not be technically savvy. They may actually understand the weeds or not. I don't know, or they may not have any technical ability whatsoever. I'm not going to talk to them like they're dumb. I'm not going to dumb it down. I'm just going to tell them what is the important things that they need covered right now. But if they want to know more, if they want to ask me questions, I will answer to them anything they want in eye-watering detail as far as they want to go. And if they want to learn more, by golly, I'll tell them more. Um, but I don't know. I guess I'm trying to stress that I do my best to not condescend or talk down. Um,
Yeah,
I
that's
wanted,
good.
yeah,
Yeah, I got that. And
okay,
like to like I wanted to like a bit go back to the social engineering for a second, because you
sure,
said like, I don't have the right mindset. So I had a bit struggle. I was struggling a bit with that like mindset part, because I feel like I'm a good person and I have this do no harm policy wherever I go and whatever I do. And so I feel like sometimes during the social engineering attacks, you can have like influence on someone and extract information that could be, like you got like your flag that you went after, but that person could lose their job afterwards. And you ultimately, by taking that information from them, putting that in the report, you're hurting them in a way. So that was a part that was like hard to chew on for me. But then I had a talk with my manager, and he explained to me, like, look, Dorota, so you you are trying to protect them from the bad guys, so then they are prepared and they are trained and they're like aware what to do when like the real attacker comes and then does real damage. So actually, by taking like a small damage to their, I don't know, ego or something there, you can like help them in a way that will like, yeah, like it be like hard to like count, like priceless hope. So yeah, that one, just wanted to get back to that. And I do
right,
understand that I sometimes also have like uh, a problem with maybe explaining myself, because I'm like very like this technical, and so I have a problem with explaining what I'm saying, and the jargon that is not technical but like easy to understand for like good to easy to understand for business related people. So uh it's like I'm still learning to talk not like tech and like comments and like being inside of the Linux terminal into uh why do we need to spend money on that. So that's like my like what I'm learning right now. So yeah, that's like a good yeah, it's, we know our things. We are like specialists, but talking about it in an easy to understand way, that might be a tricky thing to do sometimes. And sometimes also like I now I'm chatty, but just wanted to finish my thought. Sometimes people would just want to be pen testers because that's so cool, and like you're like Mr. Robot and whatnot. But then they come and start to work for a company, and turns out like most of their work is reporting, and they have a like they have to explain their things. It's like not reporting is not sexy, it's not cool, but the most important part of like the process, and like what is the point of you like having fun and like getting all the flags if the client doesn't understand like what happened just now and you didn't explain it well in the report. So just wanted to talk about this for a moment and then go back to my questions again. So
yes,
uh, I go back to the Linux again and to Rail. So, as someone who works closely with Rail, what do you think sets it apart from other Linux distributions in terms of security features and support?
okay. Well, we're one of the only Linux systems out there that you can actually buy support for at all. Um, of course, Canonical provides support for Ubuntu, and there's SUSE Linux in Europe. Um, but Red Hat, uh, you our software is free. I mean, you can download our software and just use it, if you want, we won't stop you. Um, you can't really pirate our software exactly because, but you're not going to get very far because what you pay us for is access to our software repository so you can get updates. Um, but what you're really paying for us for is what's called indemnification. Um, if something goes wrong, you can blame us, and you're transferring the risk to us. So if you've installed RHEL Linux and then there's a bug and it breaks something in your system, you can tell your shareholders it's Red Hat's fault, and they're going to fix it. They're fixing it. They're working on it. You've transferred the risk to us. That's what these companies and government agencies they want. They want that support, that paid support. It makes their investors and shareholders and stakeholders happy, knowing that they've got Red Hat behind it. You know that we've got a support team. We've got the developers who work on the open source, free and open source software, but they work for Red Hat and they know it better than anybody. I mean, you've got the developers of the actual software here working for you. Um, and so I like to think we do a pretty good job. Of course, you'd also spend money to have someone like me come out to your environment and beat on your systems with a stick one on one. Um, Red Hat puts a lot of money. We actually pay developers to work on free and open source products. We pay developers to work on their Linux kernel. Um, it gives us a big voice in the free and open source software movement. A lot of folks are a little uncomfortable about that. I can see their point, but we still abide by the GPL. We abide by free and open source rules. We make our source code available to, if you buy our products, we make the source code available to you. Um, and I think we do a reasonably good job being, you know, um, responsible with our software. So also, this is kind of an intangible thing. You're asking about what makes RHEL stand apart.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to talk about what makes the company itself stand apart, and this
Ooh.
this is a kind of a subjective thing. So here, I've been working there for over 8 years now. They always, you know how you hear the phrase "never be the smartest person in the room."
Mm-hmm.
Like you want to go into a room where you're not the smartest person there. Oh my God, am I the dumbest guy in the room everywhere I go in Red Hat? It's like being around other Red Hatters can be overwhelming because it's like they're just firing on all cylinders and all their synapses are going and their brains are like that big and you're just I'll go to Red Hat events and after a while I'm just totally overwhelmed by the sheer energy of fellow Red Hatters and I have to go like stand and breathe in a corner. um, but another thing about Red Hat is we really do work together. We push each other forward. We pull each other up. Um, we don't kick people down. We pull people up behind us. We're linked arms. We are a team. I mean, I've never been anywhere quite like it, honestly. Where we are all we it's a feeling of we are all in this together. And if my colleague is struggling, I'm going to reach down and help him and get him instead of knocking them down and make myself look good by making sure they look bad. No, we don't do things like that at Red Hat. We try to make sure we're all moving forward. I don't know if I'm doing a good job explaining this, but
Yeah, yeah, perfect.
um, and we're free inside to share our thoughts, share our opinions, make suggestions. Um, we're given avenues to say what we want to say. Leadership listens to us. You're not going to get knocked for it. Um, of course, personally speaking, I also love the free like I can access all of our training courses for free, and I'm like a kid in a candy store. But that's besides the point. So I'd say, as a company, it has personally been set apart. In my experience, I've never been anywhere else that had that same camaraderie I felt as I have at Red Hat.
I think I had only one experience like that, but it was a camaraderie of like all the people that worked in the team. But I was kind of like on the side because I was the tester, so I was kind of like part of it, but not exactly. So I just want to say that I really like. Uh, that's like it's very good that you have that, and I'm happy for you. And I'm still maybe looking for that company where I feel they have my back, and yeah, like when I'm in trouble, then like everyone comes on board to help me or something like that. So yeah, I would like to find that company, but also maybe maybe it's in my future, or maybe that's something that I have to create for myself. I don't know, go start my own business and then create an environment that would be nurturing to me and to like-minded people. So yeah, I wonder like what is the answer here, but that's my cat is wanting to join the stream here, uh, but uh, but yeah, I feel like this is like amazing, and I'm really happy for you, and like thank you for sharing that and explaining. Mm.
Now I wish I had a rabbit with me to show on the screen, but alas.
This is my cat. He's
Actually,
sneaky.
one thing I could talk about is what is it like on, what is the day-to-day life of a Red Hat consultant like?
Oh yeah, that's yeah. Think I'm actually I didn't have that on my list, but I would ask that question. Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay, so I am a principal consultant at Red Hat. We have ranks of you start with associate consultant and then consultant and then senior and then principal and then senior principal and then after that is darkness. I don't know. I think distinguished engineer after that. Um, so I started Red Hat as a senior consultant because I had so much experience already. And 3 years in, I got promoted to principal consultant. And basically, in a nutshell, I mostly travel all over the United States and get sent to clients to build or fix their things. They've just bought, maybe it's a brand new client. They've just bought RHEL, they've bought Satellite Server, they've bought Identity Manager. Um, I go and help them install it all. It might be a 2 to 5 week engagement, and I go on site and help them set it up. And more importantly, show them the whole way how I did it so they can do it themselves. One of our goals is you pay one of us to come out. One of our goals is to do a well enough, good enough job, a great enough job that we've also explained so well that you, the company, don't actually need us anymore, but you still like having us around. And so you still, have us come out to do other things because, you know, wow, they really they installed it well. They showed us how to do it. We actually can do it ourselves now that we don't technically need them. But that was such a great experience. We want that guy to come back out again and do more things for us. So I mean, we do our best. Um, I have two clearances. One, I have a top secret clearance, and I also have a special financial one. I don't even know what it's called. Um, And so I personally am often sent to clients that are disconnected networks. So they have no internet access. I go into like some block of a building and work on systems that are totally contained, often surrounded by grim-faced men with guns. But
Oh,
it is what it is. Last year, I spent 290 nights in a hotel. So one of the things of being a better Red Hat consultant is you have got to be willing to travel a lot. I mean, a lot. Um, a senior consultant, which what I started as, you'll be sent to in one engagement, finish, sent to the next one, finish, sent to a third, finish, pretty much one at a time. As a principal, I might have multiple clients at the same time and might have to, if I was, I'm not currently traveling, I'm currently remote for both of my clients by chance, but I could theoretically have to go to one client part of the week and then go to another client the rest of the week, or stay somewhere for 3 weeks straight and I can't even come home. Although that has been rare. That's not happened very often. Um, so I have to juggle clients, and I might often now be kind of a part of a team of other Red Hatters where I'm like the senior technical authority. I'm not the boss. Like if I'm the principal and there's a bunch of senior consultants, they don't report to me. I'm not ordering them around. It's not like that. It's more of a, if people need help, I fill in the gaps, or if there's debate about how we should proceed with something, I might be the last word on the subject. But otherwise, we're peers. We're not, like, there might be an architect assigned to a project manager assigned to a project. We don't report to each other. We don't have like a boss employee relationship. We're peers. We're all peers. And we all put our heads together and get things done by consensus and make sure just, we're all on the same page. Am I
Mm-hmm.
making sense here?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
like you don't report to someone that is above you or like yeah, below you, but you're all reporting to each other. So it's like a equal
Yeah.
conversation.
So the project manager, they're keeping, their eye on the ball to make sure everything's going. But the project manager is not my boss. I just tell him what's going on. I do have a people manager at Red Hat, um, but I don't feel like I'm really managed so much as my people manager is more like mission control, where they tell me what my next assignment is. Um, if I need help with something, I can call them first, and they know who to get me in touch with. So it doesn't feel like a typical employee manager supervisor relationship. It feels like my people manager is more like my lifeline that I can call in and say, "Hey, I'm sending a signal flare." Um, but I'm typically not managed or handheld on a daily basis. I'm given an assignment.
That's great.
Here's your client. Here's your client. Here's the results we want to see. Go do it. And I'm just expected to do it. There's no one's gonna. Um, I don't have to. I'm just expected to do the work. There's no hand holding. No one's looking over my shoulder. I am trusted to carry out the mission. And if I need help, I call Red Hat and say, "Hey, I need a specialist," and I get that specialist on the line. It's great, actually. Say we're having trouble with Identity Manager, I can reach out to the IDM developers directly and say, "Hey, I'm running into this weird bug. Can you help a brother out?" And it's kind of cool. In fact, I was at a client years ago that they were using smart cards to authenticate with IDM, but they added custom fields to their smart card. Like, they actually edited their cards and added extra fields to it, and IDM didn't know what those fields were. Like, I don't know what that is, and was rejecting their cards, which it should have been, like, it was acting correctly. And so we actually got on the horn with the IDM developers and figured out, okay, we are going to have to add extra code to take into account these extra fields. But what's even better, not only does it make the smart cards work, that extra code is now available to everybody. Like, it'll make extra fields work for all people using Red Hat IDM smart cards. We spread the software, we share the software. So it can be tiring. Like I said, last year I spent 290 nights in a hotel. It was pretty much a single client all last year. I kept going back and forth to in Melbourne, Florida. So I live in Maryland. It's about, I don't know, hour and a half, 2 hour flight to Florida, thereabouts. Fly to Orlando, drive to Melbourne, um, and leave Sunday, come back Thursday or Friday. A few times I just stayed 2 weeks straight and just stayed over the weekend. But it's something you have to get used to. the travel schedule. I personally enjoy it, and Cora, my wife Cora, again, Joy Rabbit on Twitch here today. She'll join me sometimes. She'll come with me on the trips. Red Hat doesn't care. Or it's not the hotel room doesn't cost extra. I mean, she has to pay for her own plane ticket, but um, I often have enough points. Get enough reward points that I'm able to pay her ticket with points. In fact,
That's nice.
so much travel that I've been able to pay, quote, pay for vacations, like the hotel, the rental car, the plane, all covered with loyalty points, and all we have to worry about is food. Um,
Wow. So
this year, I've been working for 2 clients remote, so I haven't traveled so much this year. That's been kind of a fluke, actually. Although I was borrowed by a third client for pretty much March and April this year. A third client reached out and said, we need him for 5 weeks." Um, I had just the right skill set they needed, and they didn't want to wait for another resource to be available, so they just said, "You're going there, okay."
it's like
um,
a fight club. I'm joking. It's like the client wants you, so you have to go. So it's a demand.
yes,
Thank you for sharing that. I want to like kind of follow with a different question, but a bit related to what you already shared. Uh,
sure.
so so you shared some stories about Red Hat. I just came up with the question, so maybe you can like elaborate a bit on that. So, what advice could you share to a person that would love to work for them, and what to prepare, expect on the job interview? If you can share that on a
Okay.
high level.
Well, the answer somewhat depends. Um, like if you wanted to be a project manager or an account manager, I have absolutely no idea. So I couldn't, I don't know the
Hmm.
process for that. If you want to become a consultant like me, well, first, be prepared that you're going to be traveling. I mean, you have to accept the fact if you do this, you may be traveling like 90% of the year. So be ready for that. Don't, if you're not willing to do that, don't do it. Just don't. um, but right now, we're actually starving for consultants.
Oh,
We are actually getting more work than we can. Like we're getting so much requests that we're almost groaning underneath the weight of it. It's kind of a nice position to be in, I suppose. Um, but of course, you need to have a really, really solid grasp of RHEL and preferably have your Red Hat certified engineer certification. If you manage to achieve the Red Hat certified architect certification on your own, which is you've passed the RHCE and you've passed 5 more exams, any 5 more exams, then you become a certified architect. You're pretty much guaranteed Red Hat's going to contact you. Like
oh,
they are going to reach out to you and say, "Hey, pretty much almost every certified architect in the world for Red Hat works for Red Hat or for Dell. Like a ton work for Dell. Um, uh, I am a Red Hat certified architect level 6, which means I passed the RHCSA, the RHCE, passed 5 exams to become a certified architect, and have passed 5 more exams after that to become a level 6.
oh,
Um,
it's like
I'm a nutcase, I know, but
a black belt.
what it is if I'm being sent out to work with Red Hat products, I want to know them to the best of my ability. And like satellite server, identity manager, Ansible automation platform, I don't want to be sent out and be completely clueless on these things. So I train and get certified in them. So I don't have to, like, you don't have to become certified in IDM to be sent on an IDM engagement. But I feel personally that it's better for me and the client if they know that I have specifically trained and certified in this product. Um, I think you can reach Red Hat certified architect level 28 or 9. And I say good luck. I know of 2 people. You basically have to pass every exam we have, and at that point, your job is passing exams, I think. Um, but anyway, back to your question. If you become a certified architect, you're pretty much almost guaranteed Red Hat's going to contact you. Also, to avoid confusion, there's also a position in Red Hat called an architect that has nothing to do with the certification.
Okay.
There's a Red Hat certified architect, which is a cert, and then there's a position in the company called an architect. They have no relation to each other. Anyway, um,
So
if you
the
become an
if
yes,
you have
yes.
all of those certifications, so Red Hat will contact you. But is there like any like are there positions that someone could apply and then learn on the job or like pass all the certification what already working for Red Hat?
Um, well, let me first add that our number one, what we're looking for, people now have experience with either automation, virtualization, or AI.
Okay.
Um, so, of course, our big thing is Ansible, Red Hat Ansible for automation, but we respect skill and automation in other tools, um, like Chef or Puppet. In fact, Puppet is built into Red Hat Satellite, although it's not a Red Hat product. Um, if you have a great deal of experience in another automation tool, we will respect that. And but then especially if you can start learning Ansible, that gives you a big leg up. OpenShift is huge. Uh, the, within Red Hat OpenShift is the big 800-pound gorilla product. If you could just learn Kubernetes and OpenShift on your own and get good at that, that alone could get you noticed by Red Hat. Especially if you can learn on your own Red Hat OpenShift virtualization. That's another big thing, especially with customers who are unhappy with VMware these days, who are looking around to find other other ways to virtualize their systems. So and then of course we have Red Hat OpenShift AI. I don't know that one at all, but that's a big thing too. But bottom line, if you have good RHEL experience already, or CentOS, or any of the RHEL derivatives or RHEL clones, um, and have any experience or training or can talk at all about Ansible, OpenShift, Kubernetes, um, and OpenShift virtualization or virtualization in general, that gives you a big leg up.
Yeah, actually, like you, I had so I will share about myself. I'm a learner. That's my core character trait, and I'm also like a person that really likes challenges, and I'm also a person that sometimes is like, "Oh, hold my beer, I will learn that." And so I already thinking about Ansible. Did I pronounce that correctly? And
Ansible, yeah.
Ansible, yeah. And before like I started to like started to learn to be a pen tester, I was looking into DevOps and DevSecOps kind of as a potential job path. So yeah, it's like yeah, that's interesting that you I already was like looking into Ansible today, and you mentioned that. So just I don't know, just wanted to say that out loud. And so thank you for answering that question. I hope someone could get inspired and yeah, like working for Red Hat is pretty cool because already you shared that there's like a work environment that is very supportive and nurturing and everyone has your back, and so that's amazing by itself to work in a job like that and to be able to grow and learn new things and yeah and use the trainings as well they have available. So that's a motivation for me by itself, but if anyone is interested, so please look into that and I guess look into the certifications on Red Hat and follow that path if that's something that sparks joy for you. And I have 4 questions left. They're like not very long ones, but let's without further ado, let's go there. So, if you
Sure.
would go back in time 10 years and give yourself an advice, what would it be?
10 years ago, what was I doing 10 years ago? 2015, I was working for Burris Logistics in Delaware, Maryland. Um, well, if I went back with my current knowledge, I mean, I thought I was a decent Linux administrator then. Me now completely crushes me in 10 years ago. Um, I could have done even more for Burris if I could go back with my big brain. Um, well, I suppose I could have sped up being um, Red Hat calling me by all the things I like. Here, start studying this, start studying this, start studying this. Focus on these. Really branch out. Um, Now, granted, I should add that I actually liked working for Burris Logistics. It's a refrigerated shipping and warehousing company based out of Delaware. So you got to keep it cold, and you got to move, or you got to keep it stored, or get it moved, and keep it cold. Burris is your folks. And I worked on a high availability database cluster running for like millions of lines of COBOL,
Whoa.
communicating with Postgres using a product called DB Pronto, I believe it was. And there was a lot going on there, and I did like working for them. And I actually was not actually looking for another job, but then Red Hat called me, and I couldn't say no. Sorry, Boris. I'm very sorry. Um, I don't know if anybody is on the channel right now from them. I don't know. Um, but I would have attended me now. I would tell my 10 year ago how to carefully like start studying these specific things right now, and you're going to get a huge leg up. And by the way, buy Bitcoin.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was thinking about it. Yeah, that actually what I would actually that's a funny story. I was doing a post graduation studies on the eurozone financial mechanisms a while back, and the professor asked that, oh, if you would go back in time, what would the advice be? And I said like out loud, like without thinking, buy Bitcoin. And she was like, oh, let's talk about the class, like I have something to tell you. To get back to my questions, because I digress, and thank you for answering that. That's a good answer. I always ask a favorite hacker movie, a favorite food. If you don't have a hacker movie that you is like especially like, you could be like IT related or yeah, something like that.
Okay. um it's not, I mean, you could kind of consider it a hacker movie, but in the sense of tinkering hacking, like the hacker spirit would be the movie Primer.
Oh, I have to write that down.
This is not a spoiler since you figure this, like, this is pretty much right towards the beginning of the movie. They invent a time machine. However, the time machine can only go back in time to when it was turned on. So
Oh,
you turn it on, live your life, like you live your life from so many weeks and decide, I want to go back. You step in the time machine, and then it takes you back to when you turned it on. But the story gets so convoluted with different time loops and time collisions, and like, wait a minute, is there more than one time machine? Like you start to wonder, how many of these are there? Like how many of these were built? It gets, if you try to look at maps online of like the story map of here's what happens when, it becomes a tangled mess. And most people, if they've watched only once, don't fully understand what just happened. Um, but it is very meticulously plotted and very meticulously planned out movie. And I like their take on time travel, that the reason we haven't had time travelers come back to us is because the machine hasn't been turned on yet. You can't go back past the machine being turned on.
Yeah,
So yes, Primer, a wonderful movie.
yeah. Actually, you sell it very well because uh, I like intelligent movies and TV shows. So if I have to think and like it's not obvious, everything is not obvious. So I have a lot of fun because it's like another layer for me, and I just realized that I use my yeah. I use the word like a lot, so it's kind of annoying to me. But I'm trying not to. But sometimes like I just cannot help it. Uh, okay, my last question. Yeah, favorite food. Oh,
Um, Japanese food, Japanese cuisine, not just sushi. I mean all of it. All Jap. I could eat Japanese food all day, every day. I'm never going to get tired of it. Although I do have to, I try to maintain gluten free. So if I'm going to have ramen, it has to be gluten free noodles. But I do love ramen
oh, I do
and
too.
sushi
I
and um,
I got
all of
excited
it.
here.
So man, I want some now.
Yeah, me
um,
too. I have some gyozas, so maybe I will do that. Okay.
and I want to add. I mean, this is a little beyond food, but my wife Cora, who again is on the stream as Joy Rabbit, she speaks Japanese. She
Ooh,
she started learning it in middle school on a whim. Just hey, I'm going to learn Japanese, and just never stopped. And then she actually lived in Japan for 6 years,
whoa.
and uh, she makes it an interesting experience because we'll go to restaurants and she'll talk to the staff in Japanese, or she'll read things and explain, like she'll be able to explain things like um, I remember once we were at a restaurant and there was a bowl on the table covered in Japanese characters, and I asked her what did it say, and she held the bowl in her hand and read it. She said it doesn't say anything; it's gibberish. She said it was real words, like real Japanese words, but there was no it was just random words with no grammar at all.
Ah.
So she said it's really just art. There's no sentences, there's no meaning to it. It's just made it look pretty. That's all.
It's like when people get Chinese signs tattooed on them, and it says like something from a menu, like chicken soup.
Right.
This is funny, but it looks cool. So they have the tattoo. Okay, I digress again. But I love Japanese food myself, so like my mouth is watering right now. So and I'm learning Japanese as well. So since I was 8 years old, my dream was to go to Japan. I still haven't done that. Was a lot of trials and tribulations in my life that obstructed that dream to come true. But I'm planning to go next year, and so I started learning Japanese like when I was in high school, but I couldn't figure out how to remember hiragana, katakana, like the sign language. I do understand a lot of the language and I can speak some of it, but writing is like very hard to comprehend. So but since I'm going there, I thought yeah, let's give it another shot. So no, now I'm learning every day for at least 10 minutes. So fingers crossed, I will understand at least basic words, like how to go to a metro and not get lost in Tokyo. Yeah, I heard that's a challenge so by itself. But my last question is to, I digress again. So my last question is, do you have a question for me?
There's a lot of things I could ask. I mean, I guess tell me more about what what was the spark that you got into pen testing and you thought, oh yeah, this is it. Yes, this is the stuff. What what captured you? What grabbed you and put you on your pen testing path?
So as multiple things, and it started when I was a child, and I always felt like watching the movies or uh, like there was one movie with, I think, The Net with Sandra Bullock that I really liked. She was a hacker, and that like movies like that, or The Hackers with Angelina Jolie, or like gave me like this view. Oh, that is like really cool. Like if I could be a person like that, that would be amazing. But then I guess life happened, and like my mom has. I was like super shy and like not very like brave as well when I was younger, like a teenager and earlier. So my mom has a huge impact on me and like pushing me to go in like a certain direction. Uh, Kind of unfortunately, but also it was part of my path. So uh, it- it's like had to be that way, I guess. So because of her, I went to study economics, and then I worked for 8 years for local government, accounting European Union funds. So I pretty much spent a lot of time working with Excel sheets and assessing like European Union based like projects with like a pencil, like like on like yeah, growing my bad posture there. But then I realized like after 8 years that like shit, like I'm not really living my own life. Like I had this big dream and like what I envisioned myself for myself in the future, but I didn't really follow that path, and it's like kind of like a shame because I'm not enjoying my life right now. And like if you live until like 60, 80 years, then you would like that life to be a good one and not like a suffering and like, yeah, I don't want to be here anymore kind of situation. But I had that. So I started thinking like, how can I change that? Because I do believe that you're an architect of your own life, and you can change your life if you want to, and if you apply yourself, if you like have like a dream and like be brave enough to follow it. So then I found software testing. I started learning that. I found it. I got hired by a software testing company. I was doing it that. But like I'm already answering, like telling you my story, what was my path. But I will get back to it. What actually sparked it for me to like think of it again. So and then I worked as a like functional tester, but with automation. And then I became a moved to the Netherlands, and then I found a job where I was testing everything what they had, but not security. And I really wanted to do pen testing. It was always at the end of every book that I read about testing. So, and I felt like, oh, this is really difficult, challenging, and I really love challenges. So I guess hold my beer. Let's become a pen tester. So so then I found out about Accenture, that they hire people sometimes with like graduate people, like after graduation straight away, and they teach them the job. So I thought, okay, that could be perfect for me if they give me a chance that I could become a pen tester with them. But in the Netherlands, they didn't have technical jobs like that. I was more a consultant and like learning their like how to sell their products to clients. And I wanted to be more like like black hoodie in the basement, hacking things away, that kind of person. So then I moved to a Polish team, and I could become a pen tester there, and I started like that's kind of like my path started in a way when like I started doing a lot of try hack me's, hack the box, learning to do certifications, and like started sharing my path on LinkedIn more. So I started like growing, following like that. But to answer, actually, I shared all of my path, and here I am now. Like if someone is here, probably they know who I am. So, but to answer your question, what sparked it for me, it was like actually Mr. Robot, because I was living a life that I kind of forgot who I wanted to be. But then Mr. Robot, the TV show came out, and I was like mind blowing for me. I remember like everything what like sparked it for me. I was sneaking into a physics department to use Unix systems and like learn about computers to to chat on Mirth with people, and like learn all the technologies. And it was, I remembered that how passionate about I was about that, and how I worked my first job to buy my first PC and learn more and like also play World of Warcraft, to be honest. But like, like to have my own computer and to learn all those things. So yeah, a bit long story, but try to make it short. How I hope it makes sense to you. And yeah, and thank you for answering that question. To asking that question. Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
And so I don't have any more questions, and I don't see any more of them in the chat. So I wanted to thank you for coming to my stream and to sharing all your knowledge, all your answers, and answering like my questions and sharing about your like private life a bit as well, about your rabbits and bunnies, and like I really like respect. I really respect you for also creating the space for them to save some of the bunnies. I forgot the word in English for, but I just wanted to say that makes you a good person in my eyes, and I think we could be friends if we ever meet in person. But so yeah, all of that I wanted to thank you. But if you have anything to you want to say at the end, now is your time.
Well, no, I think we've been fairly thorough today. Um, thank you for having me on here. I was actually surprised when you reached out to me on LinkedIn and said, "Hey, you need to be on my show." And I said, I'm looking over my shoulder to see who you're really talking to, and I'm like, me. Oh, sure, okay. Um, but it's been fun, and yes, I think you would be good friends with Cora too. So if the two of us ever met you, I think we'd all get along famously. And
Yeah.
she could show you the ropes on Japanese. I
Yeah, we can go and have some sushi or like nice tempura.
But thank you. I'm sorry I don't have. Now I'm thinking, too bad I don't have a rabbit I can bring up onto the screen, but to say hi to your cat. But what can you do? But thank you for your time, and I
And
hope
and
you have a fine rest of the day. And now I'm going to go home and get myself ready for Halloween trick or treaters. It's gonna be
uh,
it's gonna be
uh,
fun, right?
have fun and thank you again. And now I'm going to wave. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
So thank you guys for coming and at the end I always share my social media again and remind everyone if someone wants to subscribe, please do. And if you want to support me on Patreon, I also have a Patreon. Feel free to do so. And so thank you again for coming, for listening to me, and to yeah, for supporting my podcast. Thank you to Joy Rabbit for sub today, and see you on 5th of December. Bye.